Hi there, I'm Danny Flexen. Welcome to the latest edition of SecondsOut FLEXpectations. We're here every Thursday at 4:30 p.m. to look ahead to boxing action yet to come. And although it's been a bit slow out of the blocks in 2021, fights are just starting to be confirmed. Eddie Hearn will announce his UK schedule tomorrow, Friday, in the evening, I believe. The big reveal, if you like, but it's expected to include the next fight for Josh Warrington, which may or may not be against Can Xu, fellow world champion, in a unification fight. The rescheduled date for Josh Kelly and David Evanesian for the latter's European title. And of course, the highly anticipated rematch set for March 6th, I believe, between Dillian Whyte and Alexander Povetkin, which will be, of course, on Sky Sports box office. So we'll wait to hear all the details of that, including undercards and so on. But the best fight for me that's going to take place in the UK that's been announced so far for 2021 is the one that was announced yesterday, I believe, or maybe the day before. I'm getting my days jumbled up in lockdown, as I'm sure a lot of people are. Jamel Herring defending the WBO super featherweight or junior lightweight for our American cousins title against Carl Frampton, who is bidding to make history as the first Irishman to win world titles at 3 different weights. Former champion, of course, at featherweight and bantam. I'll get there in the end. Super bantamweight and featherweight. And what surprised me the most after the announcement was made was that Frampton has started as a narrow favourite with the majority, or in fact all of the bookmakers. I think the best odds you can get on him at the moment are 4 to 5. The best odds on Herring are 6 to 5. So he's a narrow outsider, but an outsider nonetheless. And that surprises me. And I think when the fight was first mooted last year, I believe, and I could be wrong on this, I believe Herring was a slight favourite. And maybe that's because most people assumed the fight was heading over to the US. It will now take place in London on February the 27th. Venue TBC, but I'm guessing if fans still aren't allowed back, it's likely to be either York Hall or BT Studios, as Frank Warren, who is putting the event on BT Sport, they've used those venues in recent times. I'm not sure with a lack of fans how much difference location makes now. Obviously, there's been a number in 2020 of judging controversies in the UK, and maybe that plays into the bookmakers' thinkings. I think thinkings turned into Borat. But Lou DiBella and I were discussing this last night for DiBella's Digest, which will go live tomorrow. And he was saying that it could be pivotal that it takes place in the UK because he expects it to be a very, very close fight. He doesn't see either fighter dominating the other. And I kind of go along with that. They're both highly skilled operators. And neither of them, you would say, especially at this stage of their careers, are one-punch knockout artists at the top level. I know Frampton back in August took out Darren Trainer with a beautiful body shot. But the flip side of that is that, Trainer had already been found wanting, no disrespect to him, at British level. So Frampton was fully expected to demolish him, and he did. He broke him down, added to the win he got over the unbeaten Tyler McCreary previously, which was somewhere between featherweight and super feather. The Trainer fight, obviously Trainer came in at short notice. That was made at lightweight in the end because of the weight issues with opponent coming in late on. But yeah, this one is obviously at super feather. Frampton hasn't really been tested since losing to Josh Warrington in a huge fight, a very exciting fight as well, where he was hurt early on quite badly in the fight and never really. He obviously came back into it, but never. It was too big a hill to climb at that point. I think getting stunned so early on took him out of his rhythm, and it was always an uphill battle after that. So we've seen him kind of ease his way back, whereas Herring's been fighting at world title level. I mean, he's been in world title fights, but not necessarily against elite opposition. Had that ugly disqualification win over Jonathan Oquendo back in the summer, but that would have been good for him in terms of shedding rust, as Frampton would have done against Trainer. But I think the thing that gets me about Herring, and he's a very underrated performer, he can be quite workmanlike, but he is a southpaw. He is busy. He's got an excellent jab. He's 5 inches taller than Frampton, 7-inch reach advantage. And although he's the older man by a couple of years, he's probably the fresher. He hasn't had too many hard fights. He's had fewer fights overall than Frampton. I think he turned pro 2012, Frampton 3 years earlier. And for someone in the smaller weight classes, being around for what, nearly 12 years now, it's a long time. And Frampton's, been rejuvenated by that move not too long ago to Jamie Moore's gym. I know he loves it there, and has looked as good as ever in his last couple of fights, albeit against inferior opposition to that he faced in his prime. But Herring's been performing, defending his world title successfully, and he seems, talk about Frampton being rejuvenated by moving to that Jamie Moore camp. Herring, of course, trains under Brian McIntyre and the crew, with Terence Crawford, of course, many people's choice as pound for pound #1, and spars Crawford on a regular basis. And old Frampton had a little jibe at Herring on social media earlier this week about how he wouldn't be winning many of those spars, and I think he only said it to get under Herring's skin. I don't think he truly believes that winning spars is what sparring's all about, having spoken to him many times in the past. But you can only be brought on by sharing a ring with such an accomplished performer, and also being around that team, successful, driven fighters and coaches, and that's only going to push you. And I'm not saying that hasn't happened to Frampton in Jamie Moore's gym, of course it has, but we're talking about one of the most on-form camps in the world today, in Bomac's camp. And I think you just tell from speaking to Herring how enthused he is being part of that team, how much he enjoys going to work, if you like, every day. So you've got someone who's motivated, in form, has height and reach advantages, has been super featherweight throughout the majority of his career, whereas Frampton spent the majority of his at the lower weights. And even at featherweight, he never seemed huge. Like when he fought Scott Quigg in that unification fight, he outskilled him, he outthought him, but he never pushed him back on a regular basis. He wasn't the bigger man in the ring on the night. I mean, Quigg was huge for Super Bantam, of course. And then Frampton looked like a normal-sized featherweight against Josh Warrington and the like when he was fighting there. Had a great win, of course, over Leo Santa Cruz. But again, never seemed like the bigger, stronger guy in there against those fighters. He used his skills, his excellent footwork, punch variety, and timing and accuracy, of course, to counteract the advantages or physical advantages of his opponents, and he did so well. But there is the concern that super featherweight may be a bridge too far, especially going up against someone in Herring, who is a particularly big, rangy super feather, 5'10", with long arms, or commensurate reach at least. So they're difficult obstacles for Frampton to overcome, although maybe that's something that attracted him about Herring, in that, the fact that he is a rangy southpaw. There's different ways of setting up his shots and getting the angles that he needs that he won't find against opposition more his own size. And obviously Warrington was a similar size to him, and there was issues in that fight. So Frampton wouldn't be taking this fight, and he's chased it for a long time, if he didn't feel confident he had the skill set to overcome what Herring brings. But it's just a very, very intriguing fight. History on the line gives it an added sheen, if you like. Frampton could put his name down in the history books as the first ever three-weight Irish world champion. And you've got to think that would then mark him out as the best Irish fighter of all time. Some would already put him in that category, but this would solidify his legacy. And you think either fighter with a victory might decide to then sail off into the sunset. We don't know. Herring has talked about retirement in the past, although seems as enthusiastic as ever right now. But it's just a very, very good fight, and one, as I say, I was a bit surprised that Herring, previously the favourite, is now a narrow outsider. But for me, it's an absolute 50-50, and one I'm very much looking forward to. I think you'll see a lot of skill. I think you'll see exchanges. I think you'll see excitement. February 27th, BT Sport. Just really looking forward to it. But let me know what you guys think. Is it the best fight that's been announced so far for the UK? Obviously, reply to that before tomorrow when Eddie announces all his fights, because that will skew the analysis. And let me know what you think about Herring versus Frampton. Who wins and why? And I'll be back Monday with Reflections, 4:30 PM, and the following Thursday with FLEXpectations once again at 4:30 PM also. Really appreciate your time. Please leave some comments below, and I'll see you all soon. Cheers.